Hi, this is Joe again with another video. I wanted to kind of continue with my Francessa show review because I felt I didn't do enough in the first video. Of course, Francessa, of course, was teamed up with Chris Mendel and Russo for years, and I'm not going to rehash what I did on my review of the ESPN 3 for 30 thing, but I do want to bring up that the show has never been, or his show, Mike Francessa's show, has never been the same since Mad Dog left him, because it's now been a single guy, and originally they wanted to team Francessa over somebody else, but I don't think that Francessa allowed him to be teamed up with somebody else again, because his ego was so big. He said, I don't want to be teamed up with anybody else. But that's where some of the best moments of his show was when he was teamed up with Russo. Particularly one infamous moment when 9/11 happened. Francessa did blame the Jews for our allegiance on the United States treaty with Israel. He put the blame on that for Muslims attacking us in 9/11. Which is not entirely true, that theory, but Francessa did put, and it was actually blame the caller for starting it. Well, a caller might have started it, but Francessa finished it, and he did agree with the caller that if Israel was attacked or American Jews want to fight for Israel, won't fight for the United States, but will fight for Israel, and that started a huge uproar and a huge stink. And surprisingly, the Russo never said anything, never made a stink or stormed off or whatever, or blaming Jews for 9/11 type thing, which is what happened, which did in fact happen. Even though on the ESPN thing, they played the tape of the actual caller to get Francessa off the hook. But you know why? Because those tapes were erased. Anytime anything controversial Francessa says, he denies it. He has so much pull at WFAN that he had certain tapes missing, or they say, they lost the tapes, so that nobody would dispute what Francessa says on the radio, which is really a joke. Of course, the sort of things that Francessa won't talk about on the radio, like hockey. He never discusses hockey. The last time he really discussed it was when the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994 after 54 years of now winning one. That's when he really talked about hockey, and ever since then, if the Rangers or the Islanders, or if the Rangers are not in the Stanley Cup Finals, really, he doesn't really talk about them. Not during the regular season, not really during the playoffs, unless it gets to either the Eastern Conference Finals round or the Stanley Cup Finals itself. That's when he would talk about it. Otherwise, if the Rangers are not in it, he doesn't even discuss hockey. Basketball, I would discuss basketball, but most of the time he discusses basketball is either during the playoffs or during March Madness. That's when he discusses. The only time in the year he discusses college basketball is during the college basketball tournament, which is ridiculous. But from really all year round, he really talks about football. That's why he made a bit in the previous Francessa video I did. We talk about football Monday, football Tuesday, football Wednesday, football Thursday, football Friday, football Sunday, NFL now, NFL today, NFL next week, and that's what Francessa did. He mostly concentrates on football, even though there are other sports besides football. Me, of course, as you know, I'm a baseball guy, but this whole last week, and Francessa last week on the year, he didn't even discuss that Jack Morris and Alan Trammell got elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame from the Veterans Committee. Refuses to talk about it. He has not, as far he still has not talked about that in his last week. which is a joke. I mean, come on. I mean, he had a Hall of Fame vote, and he doesn't even discuss it. Two guys, at least one guy, Jack Morris, who got royally screwed by the baseball writers, never voted for him at all. Finally got into the Hall of Fame. Finally, Alan Trammell was kind of like a borderline guy. Never discussed him at all, because it's not the regular vote, which is in January, which will come out in a month from now, in a couple of weeks in January. But never discusses that. Of course, when he discusses football, when the Super Bowl comes down, he does this bit with Russo, called Mike and the Marquee, where Russo asks these football trivia questions, and this is when you really know that football fans, in particular, are a bunch of effing idiots. I have to say it, because they don't know shit. I mean, if you ask them football trivia questions, they won't get it. 9 times out of 10, they don't get it, unless they or Francessa repeats the question so many times, and fans now, because of the internet, fans could look stuff up easier and find out, the answers to these questions. But the toughest ones are when they play an audio clip from a coach or from a player discussing the game, discussing a Super Bowl game or whatever. That's when those are the tougher ones. But the regular trivia questions, like who scored the first touchdown in Super Bowl I? I mean, stuff like that is easy to look up. Or who won the most Super Bowl MVPs? I mean, if you talk about simple trivia questions like that, it's stuff that they can easily look up, and the NFL now will do a little research on your part. You can find out. But to hear these football fans call up the so-called die-hard fans who get stuff wrong. I mean, come on, seriously? I mean, they don't know this stuff. I mean, if you think, that's because with the Super Bowl, such an event, such a party game, they get so blasted drinking beer from almost like 12 hours, from 11 to 12 o'clock noon, to when the game ends at 10:30 at night. I mean, they get so blasted, they don't even pay attention to the game. That's why they get the answers. Most of the time, they get these answers wrong, and it's funny, and they laugh at how dumb football fans are. I mean, if it's baseball questions, I mean, I'll get it so fast. It's not even funny. They never do. When they had the All-Star games here in New York in 2008 and 2013, they never did an All-Star trivia contest to give away on Francessa's show. He never did an All-Star trivia contest because it's always an exhibition game. Why should I have a trivia contest for an exhibition game? But he should have done something to give away tickets for the All-Star game when it was here in New York. The 2 times in recent years that has been here in New York. That's my opinion. But Francessa, of course, a lot of the clips that you can see, there are some clips you can see on YouTube which are hilarious. Especially the famous one when he's talking to Sweeney Mooney, who was a WFAN beat reporter who covers the Yankees. That's his beat. It's covering the New York Yankees for WFAN. And he calls out the various shows, programs that's on WFAN, the various hosts who schedule them, like every week, to do a report on the Yankees. And he did a show, a segment on WFAN, Mike Francessa's show, and he goes, whoa, what happened? And he was out for about like a minute or so. For about like 2 minutes, he was out like this, sleeping. And of course, all of a sudden, his eyes were bugged out. Like, whoa, what happened? And Sweeney Mooney just kept talking, and nothing's going on because he's on the phone, so naturally he's not in the studio, so he didn't know that Francessa was sleeping. And then when he woke up, so we're talking to Sweeney Mooney on the fan. I mean, it was, even though there was a few years ago, it's still one of the funniest clips, and you can see that on YouTube. Of course, the other clips where guys call up and say, Mike, did you drink coffee this morning? You have keep awake pills today, or what? I mean, people were like calling up and ragging on for that stuff. And of course, people always ragging on for getting stuff wrong. Fortunately, today, the day doing this video, is the day that he's doing his last show. So not many people are ragging on for dozing off in the air, or getting stuff wrong. That's what people should do. And so that's what, and of course, as I mentioned in a previous video, there's a writer for the New York Post named Phil Mushnick who writes a column about 3 days a week, like Sunday, Monday, and I think and Fridays, and he always rags on Francessa again because he has a big ego. He never gets anything wrong, and slept on the air. The stuff he got wrong with 9/11, blaming the Jews for it, and then bringing up the stuff with an actual caller did that. I didn't do that. A caller did that. I mean, it's really, it's really pathetic. And just glad that he's out. And also, of course, him. And also, one video they just watched today actually was a video when he interviewed A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, and he had his show simulcast on the Yes Network. And of course, the Yes Network pulled his show off, but like the next day or 2 days later. And well, I do believe in Francessa in a way, because the reason why the Yes Network pulled his show is because he interviewed A-Rod. I believe that with every five-woman meeting, that's the reason why his show was taken off the air. Because the Yankees were ticked off with A-Rod because he was on steroids, and he lied about it on Francessa's interview show. Of course, Francessa didn't ask the right questions. I mean, he didn't sugarcoat. Francessa did not sugarcoat anything. But he's not going to, he's not going to be like Wonder Woman, time over the lasso, and force him to tell the truth. I mean, there's no way. But he did ask the right questions. He ran after A-Rod hard, and and because of that interview, and because A-Rod was appealing his suspension for, I think it was like 80-game suspension for lying about steroid use, and which was at that time the biggest punishment for anybody at that time. And that's when the Yes Network fined him. And they put on Michael Kay's show from ESPN Radio, whose show was on the same time as Mike's, and or at least part of it is. And of course, what Michael Kay did was, when his first show was simulcast on the Yes Network, took a bottle of Diet Coke, which if you've seen the clips on my friend says when he was on Yes, he always used to drink Diet Coke constantly. So what Michael Kay did was he took a full bottle of Diet Coke and threw it in the garbage. Which was, well, Michael Kay has no class anyway. Neither does Francessa, but Michael Kay has zero class. Especially the way he rubs it in, with the see ya on his home run calls, and complaining about, if a game goes 3 hours, it's unmanageable, 3 hours and 2 minutes. And if it's an under 3 hour game, which is rare nowadays, so it's a very manageable 2 hours and 50-minute game. Michael Kay is just annoying. I mean, he really is. And he dumped a can of Diet Coke, and everybody bashed him for that move. I mean, it was a totally classless move, rubbing it in and giving crap to Francessa, rubbing it in. And of course, the only reason why Michael Kay shows simulcast on the Yankee Network is, even though Michael Kay denied it in a video that's on YouTube, or the video that I'm referencing here, even though he denies it, the reason why Michael Kay show is simulcast on the Yankee Network is because Michael Kay is the lead Yankee TV announcer. No question about it. And he says, because of the low ratings, that's why. And Michael Kay says, it's not because of your A-Rod interview, it's because of your low ratings. Bullshit. I mean, anybody with connected brain cells know why Francessa's show was removed, because of the A-Rod interview. And that's one of the few things that Francessa said right that I actually agree with. One of the few things. Because of that. Now, of course, like I said in my previous video, Francessa always used to complain about, or the show was always pulled for an exhibition baseball game. When the Mets would start broadcasting, if it wasn't for the Mets, really, there would be no WFAN, because that was, when WF first started, that was the only team on the only sport that they pretty much had games on when it first started. So when Francessa show started, when he became a regular host in 1989 with Chris Russo, Francessa used to get annoyed that the show would be interrupted because of an exhibition baseball game. When the exhibition season starts in March, and they will occasionally broadcast a game during the week, like a game with not every game, but I mean let's say one or two games during the week, during the exhibition season, maybe. Most of the games were on the weekend, but they would broadcast maybe like 2 or 3 games during the week. And Francessa would be mad that they interrupted. Oh, how dare they interrupt my show for an exhibition game? I mean, that's how big his ego was. Even during a regular season game during the week, they said, "Oh, we're not going to be on tomorrow. We're going to the Mets season opener tomorrow, or the home opener, or stuff like that." I mean, he would complain all the time that his shows would be interrupted for baseball games. But if his show was interrupted for a football game, which doesn't really happen, but if this show was interrupted because they were broadcasting, let's say, one of the college bowl games, I'm telling you, Francessa would never have complained about it. You only need to pick on Met games all the time. Yankee games, who make an announcement that we're not going to be on because of the Yankee game, or we're going to be on afterwards, or for like 2 hours afterwards, or whatever. He would make that, but he wasn't going constantly. He wasn't constantly complaining about it like if he did the Met games, and that's why I'm glad that Francessa is going to be off the air finally after today. Who knows if he's going to land another job, if he's going to be on ESPN radio or talk on the NFL Network, which is probably the best thing for him is to be on the NFL Network. In my opinion, that's the best job for him is to be on the NFL Network, constantly talking about football all day long, because that's all he does now anyway. Since he's been on the show by himself, that's all he constantly talks about is football, and that's what you should do is just stick with that and shut up, and he should just shut up already. It's been 30 years, get the hell off the air, and they just can't. It can't stand football talk on the radio anymore. I mean, you don't really listen to it anyway. I'm so sick because I hate football. Football sucks. It's horrible. It's a god-awful sport. You have guys who won't stand for the national anthem, and rapists. Like Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist. And matter of fact, this big game this weekend is the Patriots versus the Steelers. You have Tom Brady, who is a known cheater in the NFL, with the fake gate, and his coach is Spygate, Bill Belichick, and he's facing the Steelers, who Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback of the Steelers, is a known rapist. And the reason why he's not in jail is because he paid off the money. And that's one thing the Francessa won't talk about, is that Ben Roethlisberger being a rapist. And he is raped at least 2 women that we know of publicly. And you can look it up on Google. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist, and Francessa won't talk about it. He defends football. He doesn't defend the national anthem protest. He doesn't defend that, but he defends all the players. Pretty much defends all of them, and especially Roethlisberger. Oh, because he's such a great quarterback. He won 2 Super Bowls. He won like 2 or 3 Super Bowls, whatever amount it was, and that's what he does. Defends football religiously. But for as a baseball player did what Roethlisberger did, we're not defending him at all. And also he used to bash Jose Canseco when he wrote his book. I mean, say that certain players, or baseball players, shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because they're compilers. Like Nolan Ryan should not be in the Hall of Fame because he was a compiler, because he pitched for 27 years. No, that's why he has 300 wins, or 5,000, or over 5,700 strikeouts, because he pitched for 27 years. If he didn't pitch for 27 years, he wouldn't have that much. Or Don Sun, even though he has 300 wins and 3,000 strikeouts, which is the magic number for pitchers, he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he's a compiler. He's a compiler. Right? But football players, he doesn't complain once about which football players in the Hall of Fame. Now, because football is a short career, but You're saying, oh, if he wouldn't be in there if he wasn't cheating, stuff like that. Or somebody like Gaylord Perry who won 300 games. If he also does have 3,000 strikeouts as well, Gaylord Perry, and he won 2 Cy Youngs and won a Cy Young award in both leagues. And so did I think Jim Bryant. Oh, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he cheated. Because he was a spitball artist. Well, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, all this is subjective anyway. But if you've done that, I mean, how many pitchers do you know? Like Jesse Orosco, for example, he appeared in more games than any other major league pitcher, but all of them came in relief. So he doesn't have 300 wins, doesn't have 300 saves, doesn't have 3,000 strikeouts. Okay, and he appeared in more games as a pitcher than anybody. He doesn't have those stats. And I don't think he even had 200 saves in his career, Jesse Orosco. And he's one of my favorite relief pitchers because he was at Met in the '86 World Series. But Francessa always picks on baseball players who played for 20 years. Oh, if he didn't play for 20 years, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Or stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier with Don Sun or Nolan Ryan or I think Paul Martin played for 20 years. Well, that's why he has the 3,000 hits because he played for 20 years. If he didn't play for 20 years, he wouldn't have 3,000 hits because he was a compiler. He's a compiler. I mean, come on. I mean, Paul Martin did play 2 World Series in '82 and in '93. He was the World Series MVP in '93 for the Blue Jays. So I mean, come on. I mean, it's just a bunch of garbage. That's why I couldn't stand Francessa after a while because of all this stuff, because it's such a blowhard. And I'm glad that he's leaving today. I'm glad this is his final show, and I'm glad I was able to do these 2 videos. And I'm going to include stuff in this video they didn't include in the first video. And so that's my 2-part review of Mike Francessa's show. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rowdyc.com. It's all WDY, and that's C.com. The homepage to another reviewer, Chris Lee Moore. And please check out all of his videos on his website. And also you can find me on Facebook. Please check out all my pictures on Facebook because I'm a photographer as well. So please check them out. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.